you plan on keeping your 4K Blu-ray? What the f***? Movies.
Music.
H Studio 3.0, if that's your real name. I've got a few questions to ask you. Are you ready for that?
Even if you're not, oh well, because here we go.
What's up, Ellen? How you doing, man? Let's go. Let's do this. First question.
What made you decide to even start a YouTube channel, and why did you center it around home theater?
About a year ago, I started my YouTube channel, H Studio 3.0, purely for inspiration and helping out others achieve their dream home theaters. I've been in the home theater industry for a very long time. On the side, I've worked and helped out a lot of small businesses to strengthen my experience. I've built many different types of home theater rooms myself, as well as with my friends. And as you guys can see in my latest video, I show a day in my life as a business owner with a quick room tour of my personal home theater space. I do have a family which sometimes can get a little tricky with time, but since the birth of the channel, my community has been so supportive and driving me to keep going, creating content that inspires them in so many different levels, which is more than what some people jump on YouTube for. As we all know, if you're after the money side of things, it's not a sprint and have to be in it for the long game. The stats and the lack of income in the beginning will turn you off. But honestly, I love helping people. Sharing my knowledge with fellow home theater enthusiasts is my goal, and what better way to do that than platforms like YouTube and other social media communities.
Have you always enjoyed the cinema, and what caused you to build a dedicated home theater?
Music and movies have always been my go-to place since I was like 12 years old. I remember there would be days where I would be glued to the TV for hours watching either cartoons or action-packed movies like Terminator, especially Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I love him. But being surrounded by technology at the time, I think sparked something in my soul. So over time, started collecting speakers and amplifiers as you would, playing with a bunch of broken equipment from friends and family. I managed to fix things, which gave me that satisfaction of helping out others, which drives this hobby till today.
After having InWall surround speakers in the home theater you just disassembled, are you planning on still having InWalls or going with on-wall or boxed speakers?
Ooh, that's an easy one. Many years ago when I started out, of course, all I bought was box speakers on stands in my multi-use home theater room, just because that's all I knew, right? And even though they looked and sounded great, I found that space was always against me. I didn't really like the cable management side of things. So as one does, research after research, once the addiction kicked in, I fell in love with InWall concept, and after my recent experience in my dedicated home theater room, I personally prefer InWall speakers all day, every day. Not just because of their slickness, it's convenient when you're moving around the room, you don't have to worry about bumping into them. Cable management, of course, and my favorite, it's so much harder for the kids and pets to scratch or damage your gear.
Do you already have plans mapped out for your new home theater space? And if so, are you using software or outside help from online sources to dial in the perfect setup?
For sure, man. Every day I think of new ideas. When the kids go to sleep at night, I get in here, sit down, collect all my thoughts, write on my notepad, on the laptop, on the computer. Because of the experience that I have, I can picture things in my head. But no, I have not officially drawn up plans yet, but I'm sure I will use the SketchUp software from Google to give me a better idea of how things will look and visualize things a little bit better. I'm a massive freak in architectural drawings and wanted to be a draftsman. In fact, I drew up the plans for my previous home myself, but I'm not really looking into creating a mega expensive setup. But definitely should be impressive. I think once you build a dedicated home theater room times big numbers I can't even think of, and now building another one, you really don't need much help other than doing a bit of research on new upgrades and equipment and what kind of vibe you want the room to have. As you know, I've done so many room tour videos and I've learned so much in the process, spoken and helped a lot of people on AV forums and communities, which is also why I love giving others a voice to share their setups, not only for the viewers but also for myself, learning on how others think and what works best for their situations, creating a room that's going to bring full of joy to them and their families for many years.
Is your goal in the new home theater to own separates? Or would a receiver plus external amps combo be plenty for you?
In my upcoming new home theater build, look, I'm the type of guy that doesn't go extreme from the get-go. I like to take my time, study the ins and outs, and make my move according to what I'm trying to achieve, and of course, watching that budget. At this stage, I think a great receiver paired with an external amplifier or amplifiers are more than enough for a medium-sized room, but I'm sure you'll know more about that since you've got the experience in the audio world and, well, you're older than me.
Ooh, sick burn.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
If money was no issue, what would your dream dedicated home theater setup be?
If I have unlimited cash, oh man, I have no idea what I would do. That would be awesome, but I still think that I wouldn't go for something extreme, to be honest. I think a 2-tier 8 to 10 reclining seats with a nice true 4K projector like the JVC or Sony on a 150 or so inch screen would be a beauty. I think my ideal setup would be a 9.4.6 channel system with some Anthem and Electra reference amplifiers, which I know do an amazing job. At this stage, I'm actually pretty wrapped with my Crix LCR speakers, so I think I'd go for a full Crix setup. Yes, they're made in Australia and different and not your typical brand you hear in the US, Canada or Europe. To me, I truly think this package would sound amazing and more than enough for my ears anyway, but I'm sure a lot of the viewers would disagree or choose brands like Trinom, etc. Where my Crix fans at? No? No.
Do you plan on keeping your 4K Blu-ray player in your setup? Or are you going to invest in a bit-perfect streaming drive that you can rip your 4K discs onto?
I don't know, man. I'm just not a massive fan of ripping movies. Even though I'm a massive tech fan, I guess you can call me old school on this one. But every time I want to watch a movie, I like to physically grab the 4K disc and actually play with my equipment that I've spent so much money on. It kind of reminds me to look after my equipment and appreciate my money's worth, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like currency in a way. When you see your digital bank account versus you physically have that amount in cash in your hands. You know what I mean? It's like you appreciate things a little bit better that way. Plus, I'm super impressed with my Sony UBPX 800. Even though it doesn't support Dolby Vision, it has been so reliable, has superb sound quality and build, but I'm sure in the near future, something else will excite me. The joy of a home theater addict.
Do you like the film look with a little grain to the picture? Or do you prefer the clean, crisp look of modern 4K films shot all on digital cameras?
I prefer the clean, crisp look, to be honest. I'm still learning a lot about digital 4K cameras and different ways of recording, and sometimes still do scratch my head. Anything that's old or looks old, I have a habit of trying to fix it and make it new, but I do get it. The film look does look more realistic and gives that cinematic effect. I'm more of a modern tech type of guy, and if you asked for my thoughts on 4K or 8K, I think for my eyes anyway, the next 10 years or so, 4K is more than enough for a great experience on cameras and movies. 8K content has a long way to go. I think streaming services and our internet will definitely struggle trying to produce all that data, but I personally cannot see a major difference between a 4K and an 8K TV at this stage. I think they're a waste of money. I think they're pointless for now anyway. So crisp, modern 4K over film look any day.
What changes or upcoming plans do you have for your channel in the near future?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, as you can see at the moment, I'm filming in my small office for the next year or so until our new home gets built. We're still settling into our rental home, but as soon as I get back into weekly content, possibly 2 videos a week, I would like to concentrate a lot more on reviewing equipment and products just as much as my room tour videos. I do have more than one channel on YouTube, so juggling everything is a challenge, but if you know me, I'm all about inspiration and helping out others. So a dream of mine is to somehow transform this channel and collaborate with a company or companies that's willing to help out, surprise certain unfortunate people that only dream of having a home theater room. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? But honestly, with the right research of costs and small sponsorships, of course, I really think I could pull that off. If there is no help and if somehow my channel becomes successful one day, do not worry, my friends, I will do it all on my own.
Now that you've been through one dedicated home theater build, what advice would you give to those who are thinking of building a dedicated home theater space for the first time? Are there any lessons you learned along the way that you would avoid this time around?
Wow, I could write a book. Where do I even begin? For those of you who are thinking of building a dedicated home theater room for the first time, I would advise you to do a lot of research before pulling the plug. Things like budget, room size and ceiling features, viewing distance and angles, speakers and subwoofer placements, acoustic treatment and panels, AV rack placement and pre-wiring of equipment. I mean, you really got to visualize, draw and write things down before you get a little too carried away and start buying things. Pre-planning is one of the most and biggest and important factors of building a home theater room. It took me months to understand a few things, not to mention the effects of rights and wrongs. So take your time, do some research, do more research, do a lot of research, and enjoy the process, because hopefully and hopefully only you will be doing this once. Not like me. I don't know how many times. If you're going to be building a brand new home theater room that's butt naked, there are a lot to consider, such as what type of insulation panels work best and why. Most people use Rockwool safe and sound insulation, which are fantastic for the price. Run all your wiring in conduit, of course, for easy replacement of cables in the future. Make sure your power supply cables such as switches, power points and lighting are all well thought through. Add a couple of circuit breakers. Some use 20 amp circuits for AV rack, another for seating and speaker, etc. Use the correct acoustic drywalls, possibly double layer it with some green glue in between. And if you're a bass fanatic, make sure the room is completely sealed. And one major thing to consider is adding a separate HVAC system instead of ducting, because I guarantee you, no matter what you do, the sound will still travel through the house. If you're thinking about box budget speakers to start off with, that's fine. You can always upgrade with no major headaches. But for those of you that are going for the InWall type, make sure you read the instructions and have enough space inside the walls, and take into consideration of future upgrades, which can possibly mean you patching up walls and relocating speakers due to size of speaker and timber studs, of course, which can be all sorts of nightmares. No matter how well of a research you do over time, you still learn so much as you build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 home theater rooms. And a few things I would definitely do differently and avoid are, well, if you have seen my room tour video, my home theater room was on the second floor of the house due to renovations, and I personally found this very inconvenient. Not to mention, no matter how well it was insulated, the sound still traveled through the house. So make sure the room is on the first floor or in a basement, which would be perfect. That way you could also decouple the room from the rest of the house and don't have to worry about no vibration. And secondly, HDMI cables from the projector to the AV rack. Silly me, I tried to cut down on cost at the time because good quality 40 feet 4K HDMI cables weren't cheap, so I ran 2, not 3, just in case, and guess what? One of them failed after a year. So I had one left, and that's why running conduit inside the wall is so important. But even so, the angles were so tight for me that the cable that was faulty got jammed, and in my case, I have no access in the roof to somehow fix the situation. Big lesson.
Interesting. Very interesting. Lucky for you, we can't keep you here any longer. You're a free man. For now, but we'll be in touch.
Well, there you go, guys, my 10 answers to crazy Ilan Osborne's ridiculously hard questions that I did not prep for. I've been so busy the last couple of weeks moving houses and getting this little office together for my channel. Make sure you stay tuned to hear what Ilan has to say about my 10 very nice, simple questions. I hope one sentence from my answers were helpful to one of you guys, which is more than enough for me. Work hard, play harder. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.
Don't forget to subscribe to H Studio 3.0 and my channel, Ilan Osborne, for more creative shit like this revolving around audio and home theater. And of course, always be listening.